let's take a deep breath, shall we? Take a deep breath in and let go. Another deep breath and let go. One more deep breath in and let go. So this month, the month of February, our theme that we're exploring is the idea of curiosity, and inviting all of us to think of curiosity as a superpower. It's your superpower, it's mine. And, I've been thinking about this a lot this week, and if you had all met me something like 18 or 20 years ago, you would have met someone who was suicidal, who was recovering from multiple suicide attempts, who is in a deep, deep depression, who required a lot of support and care from the outside. I was deeply broken. My religion and my family had rejected me, and there was deep healing that was needed. And I've been reflecting on this recently because I have a friend who recently attempted suicide, not successfully, recently. And I realize when I look back at this 20-year trajectory that led to this broken person laying on the floor of my bedroom, barely wanting to live, to the person who stands before you here, in this community, in this place. And sometimes it almost just cracks my heart open when I think about the journey that I've been on. And I realized this week that somewhere in there was a deep curiosity that even in the darkest moments, something in me was willing to ask the question, what might help? And at some point in that process, I found a center for spiritual living. I began to do the work and ask the questions and learn the tools and be uplifted by community and be reminded of the truth of who I am. And over a couple decades, a completely different person has emerged. And I realized that on some level, there is this deep longing that lives within each one of us. And it's the longing to be loved, it's the longing to feel cared for, it's the longing to be seen, to truly know ourselves, to feel like we have a place in the world. And I realized that on some deep level, that thing that's calling from inside of each one of us is the current, the lure, the pull, the call of spirit, of life, of God, of your higher self, whatever you want to call it, calling you, saying, come be me. Come be me. And each one of us has a greater self that's always pulling on us, calling on us, inviting us to be a greater, more authentic, true version of who we are meant to be. And if we're not curious about where that path could lead us, it can be really easy for us to get lost in the circumstances and the pain of life. Because, my friends, there's plenty of it. Just in the last couple weeks, I myself have been going through it. My beloved cat of 17 years just passed away. Someone else in this community lost a cat a week later. We've been commiserating and loving each other in that. I have been visiting a friend of mine who some of you know has been in a coma for the last 6 months after an accident, and she's back from Germany, and I've been seeing that reality in front of my eyes. And for those of you who may or may not know, a member of our community, Sue Inch, is currently in process of making her transition from this life into the next. And I realized that for the last 20 years, I've been learning to trust something greater than myself. To know that in the moments of pain, in the moments of struggle, in the moments when life is just ripping me open, that I can trust that there's something greater that will hold me. And I've found in the last couple weeks, as I've been moving through waves and layers of grief, that it feels like there's something carrying me through it. That there's a something greater than I am that is here with me, that is here with us in this experience, all of us. And I know that many people here are grieving through different things. Some of us are growing through things. Some of us are celebrating things. But in all of that that's shifting and transforming, I believe that each one of us is being called into something deeper. And one of the things that I'm witnessing for myself, and I'm just sharing this because this is happening for me in real time, is that as I've been practicing my spiritual practices, engaging in the philosophy of science of mind, of daily reminding myself that there is a power for good greater than I am, that this power is God, that it is my consciousness, that it is the one thing, that it is evolving everything, that the cumulative effect of cultivating that awareness is changing something in my perception. And I believe that I am moving through my own personal evolution, as we all are. But you get to see mine happen in front of you. So I'm telling you about it. Because there is such a deep beauty in our lives that is pulling on us. And if we're not curious about it, we could miss it. Because even some of the most difficult things that come in life, like grief, are actually expressions of love. And I found myself heartbroken in a prayer meeting earlier this week, and I heard myself say, my prayer is not for any of this to be different, and my prayer is not for any of these feelings to go away, because I want to feel this, because this is precious. And there's something powerful in healing, in the willingness to sit with what is and ask, what is this doing for me? How is this changing me? Who am I going to be on the other side of this? And whatever the loss, the pain, or the struggle is, I promise you, my friends, you are being formed into someone more than you are now if you're willing to move through it with curiosity, because the universe is here for you. God is here with you. Evolution is moving through you. And if you're willing to participate with it and engage it curiously and ask those deep questions, you will be transformed. And if we are willing to be a people who are about the transformation, then we be a people who bring that transformation to the world around us. And what the world needs more than anything right now are people who are willing to be with what is and not run away from it. Yes. And then be willing to ask what is happening in me because of what's happening outside of me. Because if we're willing to ask, the answer will be revealed. If we're not willing to ask, no answer will come. Yes. And that's where the curiosity comes in. That when we meet the struggle, when we meet the pain, when we meet the block or the wall in the road, we have to ask those deeper questions of how do I move through this, around this, under this? How could this serve me? How can I be more on the other side of this? We have to be curious about everything that's coming our way. And I realized that that curiosity for me was the navigation tool that brought me from the depths of hell to the heights of heaven. Yes. Was that willingness to follow an unseen sense of presence or guidance or calling or luring. And when we're willing to step into the mystery, when we're willing to step into the unknown, when we're willing to follow something that we can't see, we will go places we never even dreamed of. And it will be greater than we could have conceived of. Because We all know that the mind that is creating the universe is slightly greater than the mind that is inside of my head or yours. Which means that perhaps there's something beyond us that can imagine circumstances beyond what we can imagine. Yes. Right? And one of the symptoms of depression, I know it well, is the inability to see choices in a moment. And so we feel like we're stuck, and there's no choice outside of this moment. But if we can cultivate a sense of curiosity about what might be outside of what I can see, then there's something greater that might reveal itself for us. And it's going to be emerging from within us. It's going to be forming us into who we're truly meant to be. And so the title of this week's talk was something like, Inquiring Minds Want to Flow. Which I really kind of love. Because it takes curiosity, it takes the willingness, it takes that willingness to make the inquiry into our lives, to open up that sense of the something greater that can flow through us, that can move with us. Because I guarantee you, if you think you know better, stuff's not going to move the way you want it to. But if you can trust that there's something greater at work here, we can learn to trust it. We can learn to know that we will be carried, that there is a current here that we can ride that will move us, should we be willing to trust it. And that's that thing that I'm referring to, that as I've been walking through these last couple weeks, I feel like something is carrying me. I feel like I'm being moved. You know, Abraham Hicks says, the only affirmation you ever need is row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream, right? There's a current. The river of life is carrying you. And there might be bumps along the way. There might be rapids. There might be twists and turns. There could even be the occasional waterfall. But that river is going to carry you, and all rivers lead to the sea. All of our paths lead back to God. No matter how far we think we wander in life, the same current that called us into this life, that is calling us around every twist and turn, is the same lure that's going to call us out of this life in the end and back into the one. And so could we greet it with curiosity? We're born into this life with such curiosity. Yes. Look how children greet the world, and when they as if they've never seen it before. It's like, welcome back, it's all new again. But children, babies, greet the world with this sense of curiosity, and I think sometimes we learn to lose that when we grow up. Yes, yeah, definitely. And what if we could greet our whole life trajectory with that same curiosity that we come in with, hold it all the way through, and then take that curiosity out the door in the very end. And bring back everything that we've learned back into the divine mind, back into our collective, back into the one. And so the call this now is for us to be curious. And also about each other. Also about, we have a new community that's sharing space with us. We have this opportunity to be curious about each other, about who else is in our community with us. Yes. And also this sense of curiosity then can translate out. Right? As I talked about my spiritual practices over years and years and years, developing into this sense of something else that's waking, that curiosity can also continue to evolve through us. And if we're those people who are willing to look at our own lives and ask those deep questions, be inquisitive, be curious, look for the metaphors, look for the meaning, look for the deeper truths, guess what? That's going to start to translate out. So when you go into the world and you look at the bigger issues and you see the things that are falling apart or falling together or breaking down or rising up in the world, you can approach them with that same sense of curiosity. You know, I have a friend who a couple years ago went healed through the process of late-stage cancer. And I remember at one point we were sitting and having a conversation, and he said to me, I realized this is what all those years of practicing meditation was for. This is the test. I've been practicing this for 20 years, now I get to use it. It's in those difficult moments when there's nothing else left that the deep things that we've been practicing, the deep truths, the deep spiritual practices, suddenly it's not a practice, this is the time to bring it forward. And really, the world we live in is kind of presenting that opportunity to all of us all the time. Practice is over, it's exam time. Right? And how do we show up when the tests come? Who do we be when it gets difficult? And what do we trust in when we don't know what to do? Can we reach for something greater, and can we approach it all with a deep sense of curiosity? So we're going to keep this conversation going a little bit more next week and throughout the rest of the month. I think that's about what I have to say today. So take a deep breath in and let it go. And so let us just take a moment to breathe together and drop into these truths. To for a moment just be in the stillness. And in that stillness, breathe. And in that breath, for each of us to remember that we are being breathed by something greater than ourselves. I claim, know, and declare here and now that there is indeed one seamless presence that is living and breathing throughout the entirety of the universe. It is this one who is unfolding in, through, and as the life of everyone and everything, everywhen, and everywhere. God and only God, one seamless reality, one consciousness, one love, one life, one power, one presence. I call it God. But more than that, it is who I am. It is that which breathes me and beats my heart that is speaking these words. It is also that which is hearing them in, through, and as each person in this space, and indeed all people everywhere. There is only one of us here. And yet, that one so beautifully and uniquely individualizes into expression through each one of us. That each one of us are the brilliant fractals and patterns that God is presenting to the world. And through each one of us, creation happens in our unique and individual way. And so let us look with the eyes of deep curiosity, realizing that the something more is calling us always, that the something greater is luring us forward, that the evolution of who we are is inviting all of us to be more than we've ever been before. And life is here to give us the opportunity to grow, to be molded, to be made into something more, to be shaped into the truest versions of ourselves. So that through our authenticity, through our truth, through our love, the light of that divine being shines through into the world, and each one of us becomes a place of awakening and sharing that greater sense of peace and presence and power and trust and love into the world around us. What would happen if we greeted each day with childlike curiosity and a willingness for the mystery to reveal itself to us? What would happen if we chose to see God in everyone and everything? What would happen if we let go of what we think we know and open ourselves to receive something new, something more? And so into these questions, I just speak a word of gratitude for curiosity itself, for the willingness to look with wide open eyes, knowing that possibility is waiting to reveal itself to us. Let us look into the invisible until it becomes visible. And so in this moment again, let us just return to breath. Remembering once again that there is a power for good in this universe that is greater than we are, and yet it is who we are. It's breathing us right now. And so let us surrender to that current, to that pull, to that lure of becoming. As easily as we allow it to breathe our bodies and beat our hearts, let it look through us and live through us and ask through us what is possible. And so with that, let us just say yes. And so it is.